beautiful. Coño, man. Talk to me, baby.
Good day, my lords, my ladies. How are y'all doing? So, the review embargo lifted for this film earlier this morning, and as you guys know, I'm a member of press. I know other press members. We've been down this road 1,000 times. Okay, if I don't know if you don't believe me when I say that I saw this film, you can look at my community posts on YouTube or subscribe to me on Patreon. Blah blah blah. Black Widow, excuse me, Black Widow was delayed 3 times from its original planned date, which was for May 2020, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Personally, I feel like they could have released this earlier, significantly earlier, but here we are. So the movie's not out until next week, July 9th. And what did I think about it? I feel like it's just a little bit... It's just too late. I feel like it's just a little bit too late for this movie, in my personal opinion. I was pulling up all the phases, and personally, I feel like this movie should have been released during Phase 2. Maybe right after Iron Man 3, or right around when the Winter Soldier, Captain America, the Winter Soldier came out. But this is a Phase 4 movie that's come after WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and after Loki. And with all that being said, this is a movie that should have been released in Phase 2. This being like a prequel film that's taking place sometime after, sometime in between Civil War and Infinity War. I think before Infinity War. It just makes this movie just like inherently awkward. Like there's no real sense of there's no real sense of stakes with this movie. Like if you, while watching this movie, at least for me personally, I was so hyper aware of Natasha's death. Like it's so bizarre watching this prequel movie, like knowing that like this whole time Natasha, her corpse is just splattered on the ground of whatever that sacred place was with the Red Skull and Infinity War. It's just awkward. Florence Pugh, okay, Florence Pugh. I love Ari Aster. I loved Midsummer. Midsummer was my second favorite film from 2019. I loved that film from Ari Aster. Florence Pugh plays Black Widow's, Natasha's sister, Yelena, and she just kills it. To be honest with you, like, as soon as I saw Midsummer, Florence Pugh was like easily the standout actress from Midsummer, from that film. And after I saw Midsummer, I was like, listen, Florence Pugh is going places. She's probably going to be in the next Christopher Nolan movie. She's probably going to be in some Marvel movies, but she's about to blow up. So it's really nice to see her truly blowing up. And she is, it's funny, it's Natasha's movie, but like really this movie belongs to Florence Pugh and David Harbour as Alexia, the Red Guardian. I mean, it's like it is Natasha's movie, but like David Harbour and Florence Pugh have way more charisma, have way more personality, and I had way more fun watching them than I did Natasha. Like honestly, if it wasn't for Florence Pugh and David Harbour specifically, this movie would have got an even lower rating than I already gave it. Florence Pugh, she's so adorable, but she's also is convincing with her fierceness and the action sequences, and she sounds great with the accent, especially David Harbour. He especially sounds great with the Russian accent. Like there's a moment from the moment that we see David Harbour and he's like shirtless and he's covered with tattoos and he looks like he's got some metal caps on some of his teeth. He's got long, shaggy hair and a beard. I love David Harbour as well. His personality, his screen presence is magnetic. It's funny. Feels fresh. When we first meet David Harbour, he's like fucking whatchamacallit? Oh, he's like arm wrestling people in prison, and like his little back and forth with inmates as he's just like beating the fuck out of these people in arm wrestling. It's just tickles the hell out of me. So good. He and Florence Pugh are like the chef's kiss of this movie. Again, Florence Pugh, she kills the accent. All of her fighting sequences are dope. Actually, my favorite sequence, my favorite scene in this whole movie is a one-on-one showdown between Elena and Natasha, with them fighting inside of this like apartment building. I love this moment. It feels like it just feels like Jason Bourne-ish. I love the Jason Bourne movies. I love the tight shots. I love the viciousness and the subtle moments of over-the-topness during their show-off, their fight sequence, if you will. It's done really well. Like when they were fighting during this this sequence, like there were a couple times where I actually like decently kind of flinched a little bit when they were whipping the fuck out of each other. Okay, there was a moment where Natasha just like launches Florence Pugh up into these cupboards. It's just a great moment. Also, when it comes to humor, the comedy in general is good. It's good. One of my biggest positives. Anytime that there's humor, it landed pretty well with me. A lot of it radiates from David Harbour, but with Florence Pugh, there's a few adorable moments of comedy with her. For example, there's a moment where Natasha is driving. Florence Pugh is in the passenger seat, and like Natasha's like, that's a really nice vest. That's a really nice vest that you have on. And Florence Pugh's like, oh, you like it? It's cool, huh? Yeah. just adorable. And I really, so another thing that I liked, I loved the comedy. I loved the chemistry and the conversational moments between Elena and Natasha. Bizarrely, Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson, their chemistry is great. So from that, they are convincing as like big sister, little sister, paradoxically. But it works. It works, and I really bought into their intimate moments. That brings me to another positive: the whole family dynamic. The whole family dynamic between Rachel Weisz, Florence Pugh, David Harbour, and Scarlett Johansson is done better than the whole family dynamic from the last, like, 8 Fast and Furious movies. There's a great scene at a dinner table where they're all around for the first time in probably ages, talking to each other. Purging a lot of feelings, a lot of unsaid emotions, and it works. It totally works. You totally buy it. Rachel Weisz is good. I think all the performances are good to decent in general, but the family dynamic, it's handled well. It's handled well. There were a few times during the dinner table sequence where I was like, you know what? This is kind of reminding me of moments that I've had with my own family. So, well done movie. There's some good music. The score is good. I might actually download the soundtrack and utilize it when I'm working out or something like that. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I criticize the MCU for not having like good musical themes, but I must say, every time recently, whether it's WandaVision, whether it's Falcon, whether it's Loki, whether it's this, when you're seeing the Marvel logos coming on, and you hear that one theme song that's kind of like it's like dun, 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 dun. Each time I've heard that recently, and especially when I hear it here, regardless of the quality of what I'm watching, there is a giddiness that creeps in through my body. So shout out to Marvel on that. Is that the one post-credit sequence that I saw? It's pretty clever. It's pretty damn good. It caught me off guard. It speaks to a upcoming Marvel series that has not aired yet, which is very curious. It was very clever. It was very clever. I don't want to give anything away, but I'll just say it was very clever. I don't think there's any spoilers with this, but it takes place in the present day. I'll just say that. And it caught me off guard. I thought it was clever. Well played, Marvel. Well played. Black Widow and Elena, they're tracking down their mom and dad, and they're trying to track down. Well, they're trying to stop this villain, Dreykov, played by Ray Winstone, however you say his name, and they are also they're trying to stop Dreykov, the main bad guy, the main villain of this story, and they're also trying to track down the Red Room, also known as the Black Widow program, which is a top secret Soviet brainwashing / training program. The program takes young women and turns them into the world's deadliest and most elite assassins. And there's definitely some mind control elements baked into the storytelling here. Taskmaster, which is another main villain, if you will, in this story. Taskmaster is kind of like this person can mimic like your every move, and it's kind of like it's kind of like Michael Myers, but if you put him inside of a Power Ranger suit, and he could mimic your every move with martial arts, and he kind of has like a Captain America-esque shield. That's a Taskmaster. Oh, there's some environmental shots, like including mountains in the distance, where I was like, some damn good cinematography. The opening of the film threw me off. It's like a flashback sequence in Ohio in the 90s, I think 95 or something like that, and I was like, okay, this is where we're starting. Honestly, I think this is where we gotta just go into full-blown negatives. For Black Widow, I'm just gonna tell you, for Black Widow, I'm feeling a crispy 5 out of 10. Again, this is a movie that it just feels like it's too late or completely unnecessary. This movie really should have came out during Phase 2, okay? This movie should have came out around Iron Man 3, not in 2021 or 2020. And honestly, this movie, it feels pretty unnecessary for me. I found myself kind of dozing off at certain moments. It's trying so hard to be like Winter Soldier-esque, Mission Impossible-esque, Jason Bourne Ultimatum-esque, and it's just not hitting the mark. I wish that this came out during Phase 2. I wish that there wasn't such a reliance on CGI, especially during the third act when we get to the literal Red Room. The amount of CGI that we experience from that point on to the end credits is just nauseating. It's like, was that even really fucking necessary? Good God. I wish that there was more of an emphasis on stunt work and practical effects. I almost wish that they tried everything in their power not to have CGI. I almost wish that there was, maybe with like a couple rare exceptions, I almost wish that there was no CGI in this movie, and they concentrated on like real life, like Mad Max Fury Road level stunts and action choreography and fight sequences. I think this movie would have been far more superior if it was more practical effects driven. I don't know. I just couldn't really buy into this movie. I would almost dare I say for like particularly when we get to the red room to the end credits, where like Natasha, she finally goes face to face with Dreykov, the main villain. The movie just honestly gets pretty boring. Most of the movie is pretty predictable. There's almost too much familiarity in the air when it comes to this movie. Most of this movie, you could probably predict what's going to happen before you sit down to watch the movie with your popcorn and your cherry icy, preferably. But I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pretty glad that I didn't throw out $30 or go spend God knows how much in IMAX to see this movie. It's just totally unnecessary. This could have exclusively streamed on Disney Plus, or just came out during Phase 2, or just it really didn't need to exist. We get to know more about her family, about her backstory, but it's just so fucking unnecessary. There's some fun action sequences. There's a moment where David Harbour, there's like a prison break type moment that's a bit fun. There's a moment on a bridge where it's like Natasha versus Taskmaster. There's moments like these that are kind of sort of fun, sort of, but even then it's just a little bit decent. Like it's nothing. There's nothing about this movie that's great. There's nothing about this movie that's a must see. There's no sequences in this movie that are a must watch. Okay, like literally, if you just skipped this movie and just decided not to see it, you would be perfectly fine. Because newsflash, Natasha's dead present day. Okay. I feel like this movie is really for like hardcore MCU stans than like anyone else. This is such a dismissible, skippable movie. It's kind of extraordinary that it exists in the first place. There's a moment where the Taskmaster is stuck in a cage in the Red Room environment, or in the Red Room place, and the way that the Taskmaster gets out of said cage is one of the stupidest facepalm inducing moments that I've seen in the MCU to date. I cannot believe that decision was made. That was so dumb. The whole showdown between Natasha and Dreykov is so underwhelming. Dreykov is such a paper thin, non-standoutish villain that it is just like when they go to face off with each other, it's just like, okay, like that's it. Oh my god, he's such a weak villain. Dreykov barely speaks or barely has screen time in the movie. It's just like, really? Really? Jesus Christ. Fucking Mickey Rourke from Iron Man 2 was a more memorable villain. I mean, all in all, I found this movie to be just really lackluster, just really skippable. Just really underwhelming, in my personal opinion, just as a whole. Yeah, there's moments that we can cherry pick and have fun with or really enjoy, but for the most part, as a whole movie, I thought it was pretty predictable and boring and cliched, especially compared to the prior 20 plus MCU movies. I mean, if you want to spend $30 for this, if you want to maybe even spend more than that in theaters when it comes out, I mean, be my guest. But I mean, there's nothing masterful here. There's nothing 10 out of 10 here. There's nothing great or impressive about this movie. I think the most impressive thing about this movie is that it exists and it came out now when Natasha's dead. You know what I mean? I almost don't even know what else I can really say about this movie. it really didn't do much for me. Again, I'm feeling a 5 out of 10 for Black Widow. I just feel like it was just so unnecessary. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. It was so unnecessary. Sure, the family dynamics. There's some moments that might hit you decently in the feels. There's definitely some adorable moments. Definitely some funny moments, especially coming from David Harbour. But oh yeah, every time David Harbour, Alexei, every time he's talking about Captain America, love it. But come on, like this movie, in my opinion, is weak as fuck. If I'm being totally honest with you. Again, a 5 out of 10. Thought it was a really weak film. Honestly, this movie, it felt more like one extremely long 134. It just felt like a 134-minute long deleted scene that I don't think was needed.
Oh my God, guys, someone save me. When did this turn into Beautiful World?